Hey guys, how are we all going? Back with some more Marvel, which should be a bit of fun. This is going to be a tester for this one, so we're going to see how this plays out. No guarantees on this. Due to whatever the powers that be, I'm only allowed to stream from someone else's point of view, so should be interesting. So you're not going to be seeing the same quality you get with me. It's whatever other person's got set up. So no guarantees on the usual crispness that you're going to see, and I also will have zero control over the camera angle. So yeah, should be a bit of fun. Aside from that, so the boys are about to get into it. Should be a bit of fun. Man, it's honestly, I actually don't think it's going to work, but let's have a look at it. Alright, so we got Finkster's roster over here. You can see how it keeps going blurry, like, it's going to piss me off. Pretty standard Wakanda, Ghost Spider, all the good stuff, Enchantress, Toad, MODOK. He's going to be going up against Pat, who's rocking Defenders last time I looked. Pentagrams, Shenanigans, should be interesting. He's got some pretty aggressive characters in here. He's got Scarlet Witch. I thought he had MODOK, but he doesn't seem to have it. But I mean, that's fine. Still got Nebula, Okoye, so he can compete down at 14 threat if he needs to. So yeah, should be fun. Yeah, like I said, I have zero control, like, hands off. I got nothing to do with this one. So we're going to see how this plays out. Should be interesting. Just bringing up my dashboard manager. There we go. Perfect. Turn that off so you don't have to listen to a rumbling. You beauty. Yeah, so priority roll. Pat has rocked out 4 versus 4. Pat's got 2 wilds, but there's a crit there. Such a good point. I have no idea which one takes precedence there. I've never seen them equal up like that. Usually you kind of got a good mix of both. Man. I think Xavier might need to crank up his connection, or his bit rate's too high, or I think he's doing something wrong here. I got pretty good internet speed. This doesn't happen with anything else usually. So we've got sword and we've got cubes. Depending what threat we see, will depend on if it was Finkster the one. If I was Finkster, I would 100% be choosing 14 threat here. If he can get 14 threat, Wakanda is really competitive at sword at 14 threat, which is going to be great for him. He gets that starter power phase push, which is always a win. Good way of controlling some of the heavier hitters if you see something like Scarlet Witch on the table, which Wakanda don't want to see. I mean, defenders are already difficult for Wakanda because there's just a multitude of mystic attacks flying in your direction. Sorry, I just finished dinner. We'll see how it plays out. If Pat won that, he's absolutely 100% going to choose 17 threat. He does not want to see 14 threat with a 5 threat leader. Makes it really difficult for him to go for the 5 wide. He has to compromise a bit more, whereas Wakanda with a 4 threat leader have a greater ability to have 5 good characters, I should say, good characters for the sword contention. We saw some other games earlier in the week. We saw Fast Nick playing sword again. I've got to reiterate this, guys. If you're versing somebody and they bring sword and you can't go 5 wide, it is, I don't want to say a guaranteed loss, but it's pretty bad. If you're versing someone who's gone 5 wide, 6 wide if they can do it right, 6 wide, 5 wide on sword at low threat, and you're putting 3 to 4 characters on the table, the game's chalked. It's over. Sword is very powerful because, especially being the wider affiliation, that means you're going to lose priority right. You're going to be moving last. But Sword also has a push at the start of the power phase, so it helps to mitigate these low model count attrition style squads. So something to watch out for. Personally, I have absolutely no idea which one they've gone with. Like, I may as well just chuck my feet up for this one. I got full hands off. This is just a trial to see if this is even feasible to work. My gut instinct says that this is not going to be feasible to work. Yeah. Everything else about the stream's normal. Feel free to type in anything you want. Happy to interact with chat. This one's going to be pretty easy going. Finkster's pretty nervous about this. I don't think he's nervous because, I mean, Defenders is annoying for Wakanda, but it's definitely not like a affiliation that like counters them hard. Like the mystic attacks are annoying, but they have enough other rerolls outside of their huge defenses in their physical and energy, so they definitely can oh man, that's fucking, it hurts my eyes looking at that. They're definitely not like what I would consider to be a hard counter for Wakanda. They're just a more difficult match for them to deal with. But I think he's just nervous because it's Pat. Pat has like really, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, it's called plot armor, PLOT. Plot armor is like, everybody has one player like that in their area. For me, it's Travis, Triple E. Mad plot armor. Just, I need this to succeed. It's going to succeed every time. Pat's very good at that. Exceptional. He puts himself in a position for it. Unbelievable player. I think he's won it, 3 times or 4 times or something. I'm not sure. But 3 times or 2 times. I can't remember. Which means he's an exceptional player putting himself in position for it. But I think it would be much better if Fink was versing a defender player that wasn't Pat. So that's basically what I'm saying is he's made him nervous. Fink has gone 4 wide. Pat has gone leaderless. That's how important it is to go 5 wide on sword, guys. Like, you would rather go leaderless and let's just say unaffiliated over there, than go with only having 4. So a little bit of a mistake on Fink's behalf, I think. The cubes might help him when it comes to Angela just scooping up as many as possible, but it can be painful. I gotta have words with Xavier after this. I think he has his stream set up incorrectly. That's why he keeps doing that. It's not that I'm lagging. I've upgraded my internet connection. I now get a gigabyte download, so not lagging. Got quite fast internet, so I think he just needs to retweak how he's got his settings built up. A lot of people don't realise, but streaming is an art form just to get your PC and your settings and everything built up to perfection so that you guys don't see an interrupt in anything. So Fink's gone Panther, Shuri, Okoye, Angela. I really like Finkster and Ryan Farmer's squad because they've both gone Wakanda, or Wakanda / Web Warriors, right? It doesn't matter. They're both secure, focused affiliations. And then they both have something like Angela, where it's like, sweet, I won priority, I choose secures. It doesn't matter what extract you choose, I have Angela, so I'm going to be competitive at it no matter what. Same as Farmer. You know, he has Web Warriors, he loves moving last, he prefers moving last, but he brings in Angela because in chance that he's moving first, he's just going to immediately put himself in a really favourable position to just win the game outright. Finkster's tactic cards, field dressing, bit of rivals, Wakanda Forever, Medpack, Advanced R&D. Super powerful. You're probably going to see that Advanced R&D get sent out while Angela scoops up as many of those cubes as possible. We are going to be playing a 14 threat, so you definitely know that Pat did not choose that, unless he's a madman, or that he identified that Fink can't go 5 wide. Pat, on the contrary, Okoye, let's just call her the leader. Iron Fist, I was speaking about Iron Fist on the cast this week. Iron Fist, I'm a big fan of. Doesn't have the 6 health that we're looking for with most 3-threat characters, but he's range 3 martial artist. Essentially, he's a god when it comes to most secures. He just hangs around forever, and he can teleport himself off his ranged attack, so it's good to go. Valkyrie, stocks up Valkyrie. We already know she's awesome. Enchantress, win-win. Someone can steal cubes, and Nebula is interesting, but I mean, she's a 2-threat. She does really well against some of these characters on the other side, especially a character like Shuri. Nebula is really good at just turning it to dust. Let's have a look at his tactic card choice. Field dressing, bit of rivals, heroes for hire, advanced R&D, all we've got. Really aggressive. Heroes for hire, guys. If you haven't seen what it does, it is amazing. So it's Luke Cage or Iron Fist can play it. They essentially bodyguard the attack, and if they don't die or daze from it, they can then throw the character attacking away. I think it is. Unbelievable card. So between Iron Fist's hero for hire, Okoye's bodyguard, you would expect to see that Pat's carries, we'll say carries like that, being Enchantress and Valkyrie should be fairly safe to run amok for as long as possible. Yeah. Bit of rivals on a sword style map is good. It's not as good. Bit of Rivals loses its devastating effect the more your secures are spread away from your standard like gamma E shape, where it clumps it all together. The more it gets spread, D shape, C shape like this, the less effect it has. It's still going to be brutal. The turn that both of these guys play it, it's still going to be absolutely savage. You'd expect to see a few things get dazed, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. Betting 14, you're 100% correct, Adam. And Christopher, not letting you in the game? No, not allowed in the game, mother. Not allowed anywhere near it. I've been made an example of, even though I am basically the only Marvel streamer. So that's why we're stuck with this. I'm trialing this out. I can already tell you that I am extremely frustrated with this. Yeah. I asked Fink about his choice of. I don't think actually Fink could go 5 wide. I believe that he doesn't have two threats in his squad. He may have had Toad though, which kind of. Yeah. If he had Toad in his roster, I'm kind of upset that he didn't go 5 wide. Utility Cookie, wow, reverse character counts, was not expecting 4 Wakanda and 5 defenders. Well, I mean, defenders, there's no strange there. Would have been cool to see Iron Fist come with like a leadership on him or something like that. That would have been actually really cool. But yeah. Pat, this is what I was talking about before. So if you guys haven't played Sword yet, whatever it's called, Sword establishes base on Moon's blue area. If you are not 5 wide, your chances of winning are it's already like 60-40 to the guy who's 5 wide. You got to have some early things go your way as a 4 wide list, or you have to have a very fast extract, e.g. cubes, to keep up with the sword player, because they're going to get 5 every turn, especially if they are a Wakanda style squad where they can just basically guaranteed cap the last point no matter what. Because sword is interesting, right? It's not like your standard roll for objectives. You if there's no one contesting it, you just pay a power, you own it. You can then walk away from it, but essentially you own it. So kind of would have preferred to see Angela dead center, to be honest, and probably take the middle cube and then go for the other cube on the bottom left of our screen. I would have preferred to see that and just get two in a safe position straight away. Yeah, top of turn 2, blind session on Nebula can be super brutal versus 4 wide. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about sword, though, don't forget, is that the push all happens in the power phase. So if you get the opportunity to be interested to see the interaction on that utility, because like we're just talking in general here. Blind obsession, obviously as a player with priority gets to do stuff first. So would he blind obsession and then whoever owns the sword, if let's say it's whoever doesn't have priority, do they then get to push after? Because if that's the case, that's brutal, right? They just go, yeah, I'm going to blind obsess this person. You go, okay, and you push them away. You just get rid of them. Which essentially, guys, the sword push is a stagger. It's a free stagger every round because you're going to force a character into a movement. Ryan and Justin, thanks for the likes, guys. Appreciate that. Man. If these other boys are going to pick up some streams, they got to pick up their connection. Yeah, Blind Obsession is actually a tactic card, to be honest, that has seen some huge amount of play this season, and previous seasons it was basically nothing. So I mean, it's good to see some of this stuff is all coming back. Yeah, guys, I know it's buffering. It's a pain in the butt. Wow. Played a swords where the side points didn't flip on a single roll all game. Yeah. I don't know if that's aimed at me, Yondo. I hope not, brother. Time to restrict Blind Obsession? No, I don't think so. Blind Obsession is like, it's totally fair. It's just a great card, right? Like, there's this huge payoff if you do it, but there is a huge downside to Blind Obsession in that you lose 2 defense dice, which can be devastating. It's devastating to every single character in the game. I don't really mind it, to be honest. Like, I think Blind Obsession is just, it's a well-designed card. Good to see someone repping the Strike Better templates. Sword can be absolutely brutal, especially if you're versing one of these hyper control games. Like, it can be absolutely savage. Sword, I would not be upset seeing Sword get put on the restricted list because it's savage. Yeah, Bitter Rivals I think should be on the restricted list. It is disgusting. It's so strong. So we've got Valkyrie in that top right corner. I mean, she can kind of do some stuff, but she's going to be that one single power shy of being able to throw Angela off that top point and then contest it and own it. So we may see an advanced R&D come out there. Shuri having an attack into Okoye, why not? Get Okoye out. Always want to get her pushed away. Just make it untidy for Pat to have to deal with this. And if you have to pick a character to push, right, it's Okoye. Just make that bodyguard more awkward. This is why Wakanda is like disgusting on sword. Just auto push, right? And characters like Shuri can double move to a sword point, and let's say we're talking about Wakanda Forever turn. Shuri, Panther, all of those characters can double move to sword points, win them, and then when you finally come back and you might lucky roll into winning it, they can just Wakanda Forever, and then the active character just auto gains it back, like zero effort required. So if Valkyrie doesn't contest that top point, slightly nervous for Pat, because he essentially then has to use his action on possibly Valkyrie or possibly someone else on next turn to like walk up and cap that point from Angela, whereas Angela is just going to come in and start flinging buildings. There's no brace for impact on either side, so Angela's throw is going to be, it's going to be mounting. It's going to be some mounting pressure on Pat, because this is actually quite a dense field. It's a size 3 building Angela's sitting on, size 4 truck top left, size 3 truck in the middle on the left, size 3 building in dead center, size 3 truck down the bottom with a Punisher symbol. Like, it's a lot of damage. There's a quick reference in the rulebook. Answer an earlier question. The order of the power phase is 1. Character and power, 2. Player effects, 3. Crisis card effects. Yeah, that's where my question is, like, where does Blind Obsession come into that timing chart? My gut is that it comes under player effects as well. If it does, Blind Obsession is not a good card to pick into sword, because the sword push can really screw you on that. So we're looking at Valkyrie picking that up. I can't even see if she's in range there. I mean, you assume she's in range, so that would be a huge mistake. Interesting to see how the rerolls goes. The new reroll rules go with Finkster with Wakanda. I know a lot of people are really interested in seeing how it plays out for a lot of these top players, to see if they waste much power. I find the new rerolls, the new rerolling, like timing, it's really awkward. You end up having like periods of time where you're just staring at each other. So it's like Finkster attacks, and then Pat will have to sit there and wait while Finkster sits there and goes, geez, do I want to reroll? Do I not want to reroll? There you go. That answers the question. Read the card. Blind Obsession, start of activation phase. I always thought it was power phase, but I mean, those two are generally within seconds of each other under normal conditions, so easy one to mix up. Still though, you can normally guess who's going to get the Blind Obsession, so sword is still untidy for it. Really, really, really like Iron Fist. Iron Fist is very quickly slotting into a few of my rosters. Range 3 martial artist. His second attack is a range 3 physical attack where you auto gain a power and you teleport within 1 of the person you're attacking. So he's really good. He is really, really good on things like sword and that. He is excellent at just zipping around, contesting multiple of these points on a turn, especially since he gets 2 power a turn. It's always devastating when you see Iron Fist and Doctor Strange together, because there is the chance that Doctor Strange can put an activated tick on one of your characters, and then if you've got enough power, you might do it twice, and then let's say you pass for whatever reason because you've had 2 of your characters get an activated tick and you need to do a late activation, Iron Fist can then come in and do it again. So Defender's in a really unique spot with their ability to hand out activated ticks. It's kind of nasty. I'll tell you what, the character that has taken my fancy is Omega Red. He is really interesting. But he gets played in a boring faction, which is going to be Criminal Syndicate. For all my X-Wing brothers out there, Criminal Syndicate is the one forward focus of Marvel. So, Finkster bringing up Okoye, contest the middle. I would probably just roll for that. You're within 2, so within 1. Easy contest. It's only a 50-50 chance. If he flips that'd be really annoying for Pat. Currently, Finkster owns the top point, Pat owns the middle, and Pat owns the bottom point. Pat has 2 more activations left, whereas Finkster's only got 1. No, yeah, Finkster's got 1 in Black Panther. For some reason, Black Panther, there's 2 Shuris on the left-hand side of the map. No idea why. It's up to the boys in the game to fix it, though. But I mean, Pat, that's just a downside to Nebula, right? Can't contest. She can't do anything with any of these cubes or any of the sword points. So, yeah. I would love to see if that's actually in range, because I mean, I know you only have to see just any part of the base has to see any part of the base, but I don't know about that. I don't know. I would just... It's a difficult one. Mega Red is so cool. He's got an awesome rule set. I love that a Mega Red has the perfect poison, right? A Mega Red's poison that kicks in with dealing no damage is like the ultimate insult to some characters. Got a I think this is the second attack for Nebula, the pistols. We range 3 into Okoye, so a little bit dangerous for Okoye here, to be honest. It's the poison for a Mega Red Khan. That's a pretty good defensive roll. So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about with these reroll interactions, right? Finkster's now got to sit there and go, geez, do I want to potentially pay 1? I'd probably just pay 1 on Shuri just to guarantee that you are going to block 5, because it's it is Nebula, so she does get unlimited rerolls. Well, 4 versus 4, you'd love to see it. Yeah, so a Mega Red is essentially the poison, right? This dead zone around him. There is a area around him where if you finish your character there, or he moves somewhere and finishes his turn, everything gets poisoned around him and it doesn't do damage. So if you're a character and this is like a really early, like first turn, second turn, whatever, you might only have 1 or 2 power, or you might have 0 power, and then you get slapped with a poison after you've activated. So you can't shake it, and there's no damage dealt from it, so you don't gain power. And then all of a sudden your power phase comes around and you get 0 power. So he's kind of cool in that he can like starve you out while his team is unaffected by it. He also has -1 damage, and pretty sure he heals off of... I'm trying to think, it was him that heals off of his standard builder attack. So, and he's immune to poison, so he's good on, like what Utility Cookie said, he's good on Terrigen Mist. Yeah, that's a good point. So Terrigen Mist, they take 1 damage and a poison from the Crisis, and then a Mega Red, if you're already poisoned, he can give you an auto 2 damage. So he's savage. Panther coming up. Fink needs to win this central objective. There is an advanced R&D still sitting there. He needs to put Panther within 1 of that central objective, and he needs to flip it. So there's a lot of staying power, Khan. Heaps of staying power. He's slow though, so you gotta have a way of kind of getting him around the board. So X-Men, Medusa, things like that. Lockjaw is really good for that. So if Fink can flip this here, it's kind of really annoying for Pat, because then Pat will have to use advanced R&D to move just one of his characters. And then he'll still have to do a 50-50 dice roll. Ooh, unlucky for Fink. So that's, we're going to see 5-3. I think Enchantress would still come up and use her Siren's Call on something just to set up something for next round. But yeah, that's rough. If Fink flipped that there, that is a very commanding place to be at. It's going to be 6-2. So this is why I was annoyed with Fink's first activation with Angela. He has advanced R&D, so he can scoop up 2 of the cubes and potentially flip a sword. So it's kind of annoying me that he only got 2 cubes. So he had priority, he gave an extra cube to Pat, and because Pat's wider than he is, he's now going to win the sword, which means you're going to see one of his characters get pushed at the start of the power phase, or whenever the hell it is, crisis card effect part of the power phase. So it's an untidy start from Fink. I was a bit down on him. Do you think he needs a bodyguard or a support piece? He needs a support piece in something like Lockjaw if you want him to take effect quickly. Otherwise, he's very slow. Lockjaw is excellent. Teleport him around. X-Men Storm Leadership, free teleport. He's great in humans because you get the Medusa, or just Medusa in general, can ferry him around, and he's quite good for Medusa to ferry around because he's a large base. He's a large base or a medium base? He's one of them. He's a bigger base than Medusa, so Medusa's going to get a really good gain out of her teleport. Yeah, I actually think he might have serious gaming in humans because Lockjaw is going to be sitting there. They're going to have heaps of different ways about getting him around the board to just take as much advantage as possible over the his standard stock abilities. He could be cool in like a power starving style, Deadpool. Deadpool could be cool with him, in humans. Deadpool, Mega Red, we're getting poisons. We got Deadpool steals power from things or just gets rid of power from things. Inhumans can feed that all to him, and Deadpool as well. So it'd be kind of cool. He's got a place in a few different affiliations. So this is the push from the sword, and this is what I was talking about. It's annoying. So your Angela, who was in range to just do a long move, range to attack, is now only in range to do a long move and a range for pursuit attack, whatever it's called. So it's just untidy. He still owns that sword though. He has to be careful about giving power to... I wouldn't want to give power to Enchantress right now. Excuse me. I would not want to give power to Enchantress because her final activation and a couple of Siren's Calls into taking over a few sword points is brutal. Sword damage coming out. We got one on Valkyrie, one on Iron Fist, one on Okoye, and Okoye took one from the Ashuri push. So Pat's actually got a couple of characters that are kind of getting to that low end of their health pool. Fink could be cheeky here and try and do the range 4 attack into Okoye, just straight up target her. Because if he can target her with that, he's outside of her martial artist range. Get a quick daze, get the pursuit, because it's before damage is dealt for her pursuit on her middle attack for Angela. And he can also then pop an Angelic Assassin, because he's got 3 power. So he's got the power to do both. Pop an Angelic Assassin and have a go at something like Valkyrie. That would be a really, really good start. No idea what these lads are zooming in on. This ain't me. So if you're tuning in now, I'm not streaming this. I'm just restreaming this because I already cancelled plans to lock this in. So this is a tester. Nebula is pretty good now. It's basically a pass with a big damage, while he also has last activation. Yeah, it's fair. Nebula is really interesting because she's a 2-threat, but she's a 2-threat that quite often becomes your first activation. It's not me. I swear, it's not me. All right, we are doing the pursuit attack. We have got the hit, so he's going to get to move. It's into Okoye, I hope. He's decided not to Wakanda reroll. Untidy. Okoye's going to survive. Double block. He does get to do a small advance. I would just advance personally onto the sword in the middle and just have a go at it. Or, you know, advance onto the sword in the middle and just hit somebody with a building, right? It's a size 3 building in the middle. Just yeet it into something's face. He's got to get this damage down, Pat, really early, because he's gone 4 wide. If you've gone less characters than your opponent, you have decided that you are the attrition squad. And having your first activation for a total of 0 damage is not a good start for it. Throw the building. For the love of God, throw the building. Has anybody got Finkster's roster up? I had it up, but I've got my stream manager open on my phone as well, so it's a pain in the butt to have to try and do both. Does he have access to Toad? Because I want to ask him some questions later. Because Finkster 5 wide, I still would rate him as a more attrition style squad against the defenders here, because he's like, Pat's had to go leaderless just to get 5. I don't know what that was. Pat's had to go leaderless just to get to this 5. So Finkster's got a massive advantage in that he has the Wakanda leadership. So if he can leverage that, 4 damage. Please do not put that into... Yeah, nice. I was like, please, for the love of God, do not put that into Enchantress. A little bit nervous for him. He's just powered up a Valkyrie, and Valkyrie, she has like the shotgun potential in her damage, like burst damage, to wipe out Finkster's Okoye there. Even have a go at... This is a good play from Finkster. If this is Wakanda Forever, this is a really good play. He needs to get an early lead here because he needs to win the swords this turn, and he needs to probably gather up at least 2 of the cubes. If he can do that and get a 7-point to 1 swing back to him, that'll keep him in the game. Personally, I would absolutely look at that Wakanda Forever, because you're essentially forcing Pat into field dressing second turn. And he doesn't actually have anybody who's currently sitting there with the power to start the turn off with a field dressing, so you can just auto-activate Valkyrie. So this is actually a good time to do it. You put Valkyrie in the ground right now, and hopefully the Okoye Wakanda Forever also puts Pat's Okoye in the ground. And then he's stuck with Iron Fist, Nebula, and Enchantress. You're putting the pressure on pretty well there. I mean, you know me, I'm a fairly aggressive player. Travis and I play pretty similarly. Fairly similar for Travis and I, so... Will he do it? We've got an advanced R&D. So we've given Okoye an extra power. And we have given a power to Angela. And we are now seeing the Wakanda Forever come up on Shuri and Okoye. Shuri is like almost a guaranteed 1 damage, so you'd expect to do Okoye first. If you think about it, you Okoye first into the opposing Okoye, so that... I mean, it doesn't really matter either way, right? Because if he bodyguards this, whatever, you just push the other Okoye out and then use your Okoye to daze Valkyrie, but at least... Yeah, at least if he had bodyguarded that though, Pat Okoye will be alive because he'd get pushed out of range of Finkster Okoye. So maybe would have liked to have seen Pat bodyguard that just to minimise the amount of characters he's going to have dazed. So Valkyrie dazed, I would absolutely put that right there. Yep. Somewhere easy for Panther to scoop up. Pretty sure Fink has put a cube onto Panther that actually should have been on Angela. But if I type anything in, not that I can type something in, there'll be some people that just have an absolute brain fit. There we go. A bit untidy from Pat here, I thought. Yeah, if he... you bodyguard that, right? Okoye has to push him. And then she's either going to push him into the car for Finkster's Okoye to finish off his own Okoye, who cares? Or he's going to push you away, but you're alive, you're not dazed. So... I think Pat's just given up a character for free. I mean, Wakanda Forever's done though, so you're happy to see that. You'd love to see... You hate it when Wakanda Forever's still lurking around later on. So Okoye, double crit. That is a dead Okoye. Yep. 4. There is absolutely no way for him to block that. So Okoye is dazed. Will Pat not last activate someone and field dress a Valk? So I'm a big fan of like just getting it over and done with ASAP. To imply that Pat's going to last activate someone to field dress Valkyrie is saying that Finkster's last activation, which is probably Panther, doesn't just push that person away, right? You like... That's clever from Fink. That's why he did the advanced R&D, to get the extra power needed to have Angela flip that central objective. That's nice. Yeah, being into a Wakanda player, like holding for a last-ditch field dressing can sometimes be extremely awkward because Wakanda can always have something to say about it, right? Nebula, Shock Sword Assault, 3 power, 6 dice energy. I'd be concerned for my Okoye's life because this is going to hit hard. Nebula rolls 1 crit, 1 wild, 3 blanks, 1 skull. Josh has got 0 blocks. I'd like to see Josh probably pay for Wakanda here and even pay for a Shuri reroll. Shock Sword Assault from Okoye, from Nebula is painful. That's a pretty good reroll. I'd expect to see Okoye dazed at this point. Well, maybe not. If he gets his General of the Duramage reroll here. Nah, he didn't pay for Shuri. 4 damage into Okoye. So how are we looking for priority here? So Pat's still got Enchantress and Iron Fist to go. So Finkster still will have priority next round. So if I'm Pat, I'm double downing, right? I am 100% going to try and get Shuri here. She's holding objectives to get full rerolls. One. Should see another 1 to 2 out of that reroll. Finkster with a block. I would not pay for Wakanda reroll here, personally. Nebula is the best 2 cost, except for her complete inability to interact with objectives, so I think that's why a lot of people just leave her on the side. So that is technically 1 power wasted from Wakanda reroll. Technically, that's a single power wasted. Although I personally love Nebula. She's my number 11. Every roster I have, I'm constantly trying to see when I get to that roster slot 8, 9, 10, if I can slot her into it, because she's so good. So we got the Panther activation. I personally would leave that Panther activation till last. Mr. Hartnegg, what's happening, brother? How goes the painting? That Ghost Iron Man that you just painted up, James, you need to share it on the Strike Better page, brother, because that is amazing. And it's also kind of Strike Better colours, so I like it. I would rather see... this Panther activation last. I know the cubes are there, but Shuri is kind of in a dangerous position because Iron Fist is like lurking behind the Punisher truck there. The push will be annoying for Enchantress, but again, the threat of actually giving her an extra 2 power is more dangerous to me. Because let's say you do Panther last here. I mean, you let Enchantress pick those up because it taps her out for power. She might do a beam. She can move up and get 1 and then do a beam and then get 1 single Siren's call out, but you can answer it with an instant Panther push. So I prefer to have seen Shuri go here. I just think Panther is a little bit rushed, so I think Panther can wait. Hold off on that. Finkster, it's not a good activation. He's a long mover, so anything Enchantress does to him, he will be able to just long move back in, and he doesn't care. So he's going to make the best of this. I mean, Panther's now scooped up a cube. Please don't put him in a position where Enchantress can get a triple beam off, because if Enchantress gets a triple beam off, she can scoop that last cube up and still double Siren. So that's just untidy, a little bit untidy. There's also the threat that, like, let's say for some reason Finkster attacks that attacks Enchantress right now. He might accidentally give her the power to field dress. I really think Shuri was the play there. Morgan, back to Facebook, mate. No, you're a Twitch guy now. Yeah, I still stream to both guys. Like, I got the internet for both. I got the processing power for both. So, yeah, still maintain the double stream going. So moving Panther there, I am really not too happy with that, because Enchantress can beam through Valkyrie because she's dazed twice, and then bow them, at least bow one of them, and then start next turn off with next activation off with a field dress. So I just think that was a little bit rushed. They actually could have waited. Here comes Iron Fist. Such an amazing character, Iron Fist. He's just an awesome flanker. Discussing the terrain piece. Probably should have done that before the game, but sometimes there's these little pointy out bits that people forget about. A few people on tonight. We've got 20. What's happening, guys? Between Facebook and Twitch. I know all my Australian friends are all currently in lockdown. Well, not all of us, but there's a sizable portion of the population currently in lockdown. So, I mean, Iron Fist is cool here, right? Who's controlling which secures now, Jay? Top sword is Fink. Middle sword is Fink. Lower sword is Pat. Pat won round 1 with sword control and 3 cubes to Fink's 2 cubes. So we're round 2 currently. Fink owns the middle sword. I am unsure if it's going to remain that way. I think maybe if he held his Panther for 1 more activation and moved his Shuri, up onto that car potentially to just get some safety from Iron Fist here, because Iron Fist, like, he can just teleport to that middle sword at will. All he's got to do is attack one of them, so... I mean, if Shuri gets dazed here, this is what I'm nervous about, I'm concerned for Fink, because if we see just an Enchantress double beam, there's no answer Fink has to stopping that field dressing. Seeing Iron Fist coming back as well. Iron Fist is going to come back with some power. He's going to have 6 power next turn. Heroes for Hires now up and running. All of Fink's stuff's in the middle, so his Heroes for Hire, range 3 martial artist is going to come kicking into it. There's no mystic attacks for him to worry about, so Iron Fist is essentially Black Panther for this game. So he crit. Does Fink activate his plot armor? 1 block. Well, you'd love to see it. He should pay for Wakanda reroll. Does he pay for it? I mean, he should have paid for it at that point. I'm assuming that he's denied it. So, Shuri takes 1 damage. You'd be pretty happy about that, to be honest. Because if I'm Shuri, I am walking onto that point and capturing it and hiding. And I would also try and... there's no push he can get. Oh, he might be able to get a good push on Enchantress. If he can get a good push on Enchantress, have a look first, Fink, for the love of God. If he can get a little love tap on Enchantress, because he's not at 45 degrees, so there's actually a chance that he'd be able to push Enchantress past Okoye towards the deployment zone for Pat. If he can get a cheeky push there, oh boy. I mean, just have a look. Okay, cool, you can't. There's no amount of pushing you can do there. Would you push Nebula? I would... it's only a range 3 beam from Enchantress, so the likelihood... I mean, you could shoot Nebula and push her like onto the sword and try and get Nebula in the way of the beam. That might be annoying. Because right now Valkyrie's doing a last activation and 8 power. Like it's gonna be painful. You try and push Nebula into that gap. I mean, you don't really care. She can't contest, so you don't care if she's sitting next to it. Gets her out of range of your Shuri as well, which you want to see. Push Nebula into the gap in between Valkyrie and Panther. Try and block the beam for the most part, or at least force Pat to attempt to put some damage on the Nebula for free, which you want to see. That'd be nice. Pat gets lucky and leave a few on 1 health. It might be GG. Yeah, it's actually why I don't choose. I have cubes in my roster, but I'm always that cube guy that lives on 1 and opens up a turn with like half my team dazing. When I play cubes now, if I've got med pack, I just save it to try and stop that, because it feels terrible. If Pat can steal a cube off of Fink and win the swords again this round, with 5 more going to him, so he goes to 11 to Fink's 4, I would probably say that's GG. If Fink has any of his characters open the turn dazed from a cube, that is 100% GG. This is what I was talking about at the start. Like, you just don't go less wide than your opponent on sword. You just can't. Like, you cannot afford to do it. It makes your life so much harder. Shuri, guaranteed flip. Love to see it. You like 4 wide angel on sword? If the angel was having more of an impact, I'd probably be on board, Morgan. Currently, she hasn't really had any impact. I mean, Fink won priority and didn't scoop up, like Pat, like Fink won priority and Pat still took 3 cubes on the opener and he didn't daze anything. He just, Fink allowed him to have 3 cubes. So if I was taking Angela and I like scooped up 2 cubes and like advanced R&D, you know, whatever, flipped the middle sword at the same time and just finished in some relative safety, I mean, that'd be spicy. It's a pretty good map for Angela. Like if Fink can start next round with doing the last point of damage to Valkyrie after she's been field dressed, getting a big Angelic Assassin going, and then utilising some of that massive terrain, e.g. throws that size 4 truck into Enchantress. Size 4 truck, I think it is, yeah. You know, daze Valkyrie on the opener, you teleport, you then do your free attack or your 2 power attack into Enchantress, hit her with a big vehicle, and then you've still got your second action to try and take on Okoye. Like that'd be spicy. That's the Angela I like to play. What's happening, Nick Fit? How are you, mate? Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's what threw me. He just, whoa, that's a good beam. But did there appear a reason why Angela didn't scoop Central and claim? He deployed Angela like at the top. Like that's what I was talking about at the start. Like I would have deployed Angela dead center, abused the Angela long movement medium base, scooped up the central cube, immediately moved to the top and scooped up the top cube. But yeah, Angela actually deployed. I'd show you, but I can't. Angela actually deployed at the top, like not in the center. So 2 damage into Panther from the first beam. This looks like it's going to be 0 damage, but he will steal a power. So that's 5 power on Enchantress, is it? Angela had no power to steal. So 4 power on Enchantress. Personally, I'd just beam again. And I'd Siren's Call 2 characters. Well, 1 character at least. Field dress Valkyrie. Have her deal with whoever's left with her size 2 throw and maybe even give them a Warrior of Legend attack on the way out. See if you can daze them instead. And then flip that central objective. I mean, it's pretty hard to come back from. And then you double tap the person that you advanced off of our Enchantress with the sword push. Double unce them out of the game. No blocks on Panther. Currently looking at 2 hits. You have to be pretty thankful if you're Finkster at this point that Pat didn't roll Blazing Suns like his first one. So Panther is... Oof. Panther's lucky he didn't take 1 more damage. That could have been catastrophic. 2 into Angela. Angela doesn't care. She rolls 3 blocks. I'm currently favouring Pat heavily right now. I just think Fink's made some early tactical mistakes. I don't know if he respected the sword base push or the sword base 5 wide enough. I don't know if Pat caught him off guard and by going 5 wide. I mean, you'd normally assume to see the leader, so you would assume that if Pat's going to bring his leader that he'd be 4 wide. So I don't know if Pat just caught him off guard by going 5 wide leaderless. I mean, it's not even like... I mean, all that Pat's missing is a leadership ability. He's got 5 great tactics cards. They're all tier 1 tactics cards. They're all great. He's got 5 great characters. Aside from being leaderless, he... there's no downside to his squad right now. There's the field dressing. So Valkyrie is back. She should just throw I mean, I'd have a go at Angela. I'd try and double tap her. Hit her with a Dragon Fang ×2, or at least a Dragon Fang ×1 into a strike. Civian Uns Angela, and then just throw her away if you don't. And then flip the central objective, and that's... he owns the swords at that point. I don't think it would be a good idea for Pat to pick up that single cube. James Brown, what's happening, bro? I think it would be a terrible idea if Pat picked up that cube on Valkyrie, because then Valkyrie starts next turn dazed. So I think you'll see Pat is going to ignore the cube and just flip the swords, take the W, and go from there. Couple follows to cover, and when I was offline today, we got Jash Locke, Hanger 19, Mithrandir, and the Odric. Thanks for the follow on Twitch, guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, nice. That's a good throw. You throw Angela into Panther here because there's actually... Panther's decent, and there's actually a good enough chance on Panther to only take 1 damage. And if he only takes 1 damage, that is going to screw him so hard. You should be rolling... Yeah, sorry, there's 4 dice there. That's what I'm talking about. I'd be paying the power on Panther. You cannot take 1 here. Roll the crit in. Hopefully it's not a wasted power. I mean, I'd like to see him just roll the crit in and not have to pay the power, but we'll see. Oh, that is untidy. I feel for Josh there. It's 1 damage in the Panther, exactly like I was saying. Panther's defense is good enough to take 1 damage from size 2 throws, so that is not what you want to see. So Pat will be starting next round with a dazed Panther. It's up to him. I mean, personally, knowing that I'm starting with a dazed Panther, it might actually be worth the trade and pick up that cube and start with a dazed Valkyrie. Because at least then you're going to have her for another turn. There's no chance she's going to get KO'd this round with the big Angela activation on the opener. Or we just flip both. Flip both. I like it. Get out of harm's way. Flip 2. That's right, because Shuri owns the bottom one, so he has to flip 2. It's a good point. James Brown, good mate. Hope you're all okay in the lockdown. Yeah, brother, I'm just chilling like a villain. Technically, I'm still essential, so aircraft have to fly, so aircraft need engineers. So still turning up to work. So Pat winning the sword 2 in a row. He's only got 1 cube though, so really difficult. It's going to be GG, I think, utility, not because of the second sword win, but because of that Panther starting dazed. I mean, we saw Nick playing earlier in the top cut where he went 3 wide on sword versus 5 wide, and that's even worse than 4 wide. Like, that is... 4 wide, there's a chance for you to win if you can leverage your priority and leverage the 5 threat character or 6 threat character you brought in. But 3 wide on swords is just no bueno. Buffering. Need Xavier to tweak those stream settings so this doesn't happen. Right, so Panther drops his cube. Starts days. Angela's activation this turn has to be massive. It honestly has to just be huge. Yeah, Todd, I went for a walk. I went for like a 6 kilometer walk before, and the wind was terrible because it's snowing up the mountains, so it was just freezing. It was freezing. It was windy. I'm pretty sure there's trees down in the area. Yeah, it's pretty rough. I really want them to fix that cube up that's sitting on its side against the that lamppost right there. I would really like them to fix that. Push Okoye away. Yeah. Personally, I'd just push Shuri so that she can't assist in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the Okoye push is cool. Pushing her out of 2 would be nice. That's pretty cool. That's a good move by Pat. Well, that's because you got lots of trees in your yard, Todd. That's what happens when you live in a national park, bro. You have trees everywhere. So this is really bad for Fink. So he has priority. Angela, decently powered up. I would absolutely scoop that cube up. And I don't know. I mean, you could probably do your range 4 pursuit attack into Enchantress, advance towards her, flip the central sword. But I mean, you're going to lose a Okoye for it. But I really think it feels bad if you're using your first activation to get a Okoye back into safety. I mean, that's just how absolutely brutal the sword power phase pushes. Iron Fist will just activate someone as well. Yeah, that's it. Iron Fist is sitting there. He is 1 power away from just putting an activated tick on something. So Iron Fist can do his range 3 teleport, potentially if he's in range of a Okoye, and then follow it up with a activated tick on whoever. He does need to get rid of Nebula. Nebula is actually a massive pain in the butt for him here. And this is why Nebula's cool, right? She's a 2-threat character that is taking the focus off of Enchantress in the back there. Because, I mean, Angela's got the health here, and there is a size 4 truck behind Enchantress. She could do some work between Enchantress and Okoye. I would love to see a pursuit throw, whatever a second attack is on Angela, do that into Enchantress, walk towards her, second action, do your sword strike, teleport off of her, Angelic Assassin, smash into Okoye, throw the truck at her, and at least you have now completely limited that threat. You've then just got a Valkyrie on 1 health and a Iron Fist / Nebula to deal with, but I mean, Fink has his own field dressing, so he could be kind of thinking about that right now. He can just open the turn by field dressing Panther and having Panther med pack himself and then just go nuts onto Nebula, but we're going to open with a sword strike from Angela. This activation from Angela has to minimum take out 2 characters. Minimum. It is currently full plot armor engaged on Pat, and we have seen a triple block. I mean, wouldn't you just position yourself to be near the sword and flip it, and then maybe attack Enchantress and throw the truck at her? I mean, you've done 0 damage to Nebula at this point, so he's paid 2 power, so something's being thrown. I mean, with the throw, you would most likely just wipe Valkyrie out there, and you would at least cap the sword on the top there. I don't know, I'm just I'm not happy with Fink's activation right now. I don't know, chat, what do you think he should have done? You guys are probably doing your own speculation. Could he have done this better? Four into, I'm going to say Nebula. Double block. 2 blocks out of 3 is above average, and seeing it twice in a row, you would be annoyed if you were Fink. You'd be like, come on, I just need you to just roll average. Nebula will survive. And now she has enough to do a shock sword assault. He does have the power to start his next activation with a field dress, as long as he doesn't interact with that sword, but I highly doubt that you would see Pat allow him to do that. Flips Central Sword. Nice, good to see it. I suspect we're going to see a Nebula activation open this up, and she is probably going to absolutely pimp slap this Okoye. Bit of rivals coming out from Josh's Okoye. Who is he targeting though? Nebula. I feel like Nebula is the one that you want to remove damage from. This is what I was talking about with Bit of Rivals. On these C shapes and D shapes, it actually can lose a lot of its effectiveness. Still a devastating card. I still think that it absolutely is a contestant for the next restriction list. But right now, his Bit of Rivals is only hitting Iron Fist, which protects Shuri. I'll give you that. That's good. But that's all it's doing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Iron Fist is just going to absolutely wipe Shuri from existence, even with the Bit of Rivals, because he can open with a range 3 attack, teleport onto the sword. He is now out of range of the Bit of Rivals, and can do his second action as hopefully a dazed Shuri, and he'll steal the cube as well. And sitting behind that truck, I mean, he's safe enough that he's not going to take a random point of damage from anything and start next turn dazed. Not that I think there is going to be a next turn if Pat can play this turn out correctly. All he needs to do is secure 3 cubes and the swords, and it's over. And he's already got 1 cube. So Enchantress can do a beam into Angela, and then just walk up and take one. So that's 1 cube guaranteed. If Valkyrie dazes Angela here, well, that's different. Valkyrie's got 6 power, so a charge into a Dragon Fang would be really, really cool to see. You could charge Dragon Fang Angela here, potentially get a flurry, and man, that sword push coming into effect. Just push the Koye out of sort of bodyguard range. So it's essentially a stagger on a Koye if she wishes to get back into bodyguard range. I think Pat could have afforded to get a little bit greedy here and go with the Dragon Fang because he's got Enchantress that can steal one anyway. So in the off chance that something goes not his way, he's got an answer already sitting there. Two versus 2, 0. Yeah, good throw. So Valkyrie going for the throw. Angela into a Koye. Sadly, it's not going to be enough to kill a Koye because she hasn't taken any damage. So she 100% will survive that, which means he's going to get an option to respond. The upside about this throw, though, is it takes Angela outside of any potential field dress shenanigans in the off chance she took some extra damage, although she currently, to get the power to do a field dress, would have to be dazed, so that's gone. Pretty sure there's a dice calculator out there, Tiberius, that'll give you the answer to that. My gut feeling is that a Dragon Fang with 2 additional dice is better than a 5 dice Warrior of Legend, even though a 5 dice Warrior of Legend can feel better. The key with Valkyrie is you need to make sure that there is something for her to flurry onto in case she straight one-shot something, especially if you do a Warrior of Legend Dragon Fang, because that quite often can really tap her power out. So yeah, Valkyrie's very much about just timing when to do that burst damage, but my order of decision tree, or my decision tree of priority with attacks on Valkyrie, you need to make sure she has 1 or 2 power left. So if I can afford a Dragon Fang, I'm doing it. If I can afford a Warrior of Legend Dragon Fang and still have a couple power left, that takes priority. Because, I mean, the attack into Angela was really nice there, but Valkyrie was 100% in range to do a Dragon Fang Warrior of Legend into Finkster's Okoye. I mean, we've all seen these Warrior of Legends before. He gets a good enough roll, he straight one-shots Okoye, takes her out of the game completely. And then it is, well, that's an absolute catastrophe for Finkster at that point. Shuri honestly has heaps of lifting to do here. I mean, Shuri could potentially double push Iron Fist and just get him out of range 3 of anything so that he can't just teleport. But, yeah. Here's the downside, right? So he's going to move Okoye there and throw a spear at something, and field dress Panther, but I mean, Enchantress is going to have an activation before Panther gets to activate, and I can almost guarantee she's going to re-daze him. Excuse me. Had a big night last night, so been yawning all day. I think Finkster's problem right now is he honestly has no answer for Iron Fist and no answer for Enchantress, shy of Angela, with the current game state. And Angela has been controlled enough that she has not been able to get a roll on going. Last night was funny. Yeah, man, that was a good night, Todd. We're supposed to be away on a boys' weekend this weekend, so sadly we had to cancel due to COVID, but we got us all together last night. We were playing Fall Guys in a private lobby, and if you were the first one dead, you had to scull your drink, so yeah, there was a few drinks being handed out. It was good fun. So Koye, bit of rivals coming up, 2 defense dice. Who is this on? Who are we attacking here? I'd scroll down and check the game state, but probably Valkyrie. I mean, you got a day's Valkyrie. Just get her onto a flip side. So, I mean, you have to do it. Is that seriously 2 crits? Shaking my head, to be honest. That plot armor is real on Pat. It seriously just got 3 blocks from 2 dice. He does gain the power though, so I mean, it's auto get power gain. Get within range of Panther. You can field dress him. I don't think that Enchantress is going to allow Panther to live. She's not going to. Enchantress's beam is like this. Energy attacks actually do a decent amount of chip damage into Panther. That's what concerns me. Typically, my Panther this season has died only to, mass Mystic attacks from defenders, or just chip damage from energy sets him up for a big burst damage to die. I will give Pat kudos to one thing. He must have sat there and seen the Matrix. But the fact that he pivoted from... Well, I don't even know what he was playing, Wakanda. I think he was playing Wakanda in the Swiss rounds. The fact that he then has had a stroke of genius into defenders, which defenders are very good, which pivots him into his first 3 games of cut, which are basically Wakanda, almost guarantees him top 4. Yeah, Iron Fist, very good character. Bitter Rivals just... I mean, they're really umming and ahhing about Bitter Rivals. Like, it's so good for that turn you need to do the really aggressive play. But I've been very much umming and ahhing about swapping it for Disarm. Because you disarm Enchantress here, 3 dice beam, you don't care. Fair enough, Reith. Sin Cabal is Sin/Criminal Syndicate second half of season. That's kind of scary. That's really scary. Sin Cabal is a force to be reckoned with. I think once people catch on how good that is, we might see it start happening a bit more. Alright, 4 dice going in the Panther. It's Pat, so let's see if it's 4 hits. Oh, only 3 hits so far. Or 2 hits, sorry. Oh, Fink, I feel so bad for you, brother. Double skull on Panther. So painful. Two hits should not hurt that Panther at all. So I'm talking about the energy. I mean, that's pretty unlucky for Panther to see double skull, but see energy attacks, just reducing Panther to 3 dice. It's enough to make him mortal. So 1 activation left here for Fink. He owns only 1 of the swords at this point. He desperately needs to get that middle objective. Tagging... Double tagging Iron Fist out would be annoying for Pat, but honestly, not the end of the world. Chat, do you remember who owns the middle sword? Is it Fink? I feel like Fink flipped the middle sword at some point. Can't really tell. Can't check either. Right. Is Shuri still guaranteed 1 auto damage? I would almost guarantee it because we're only going to see 2 defense to us. Just hit for boobs, Danuno. What's happening, brother? How's things, mate? Hope you're staying safe. That is going to be a absolute guarantee of 1 damage, because if Fink wants to and he's really desperate for 1 damage, he can pay 2 to make his shields count or whatever. Doesn't need to. Just chilling. Me too, brother. So we're going to push him into irrelevance, but again, he can just do a medium move, do his range 3 attack, teleport onto the central objective, and have a go at flipping it. If he can do an additional point of damage here, I mean, it would be nice to see the cube luck flip for Fink. Get Iron Fist to start the turn dazed. That would be really good for him. Also makes Heroes for Hire less effective because there's a chance that Iron Fist is going to daze. Thanks, Travis. You weren't here for the start of the stream, mate. But yeah, appreciate it, mate. Sadly, I think Xavier needs to do some tweaking of his stream settings. I think his bit rate might be a bit high, or maybe it's just needs to maybe upgrade his internet slightly because it's struggling to be sent out sometimes. It's a good push. Just get Iron Fist out of the way. Sadly, I think this is just a little bit too little too late. Here comes the Iron Fist. So, I mean, it's kind of trivial at this point. All Pat has to do is just cap that central objective. I can't tell who owns it, to be honest, but a single cap of that central objective will be almost GG. Get a good beam from Enchantress here. So she can walk down, beam, hit both of these guys, and then advance both off of the point, and then just have Iron Fist come in. Iron Fist might even be able to daze one on the way through with his kick and go teleport. So again, Pat's not winning yet. He needs these cubes. It's all well and good to control your way to victory, but we all have seen games where somebody gets to 14 or 15 really quickly and then they just peter out and completely drop the game on turn 5 or 6, something like that. So it'd be good to see Fink try and get some regain going and win on these back 3 turns, but currently it is not looking good for him. If Angela goes down, it's GG. If I was Pat, I personally would be advancing Angela towards Iron Fist and having Iron Fist have 2 goes at dazing Angela. You can do a kick into the Iron Fist attack and he'll have 10 power, so he'll go down to 2, and because he gains the auto power from the kick, and then you have enough power to pick up both cubes, and then Enchantress hopefully wins the central sword with just a couple of sirens. I have no idea what's happening here. I wish I could tell you, but I have no clue. So it's currently 1 damage going into Angela. He absolutely should re-roll that because his Angela cannot daze this round. She will start next turn dazed, which is really unfortunate for him. But if she dazes this round, it's GG. At least if she dazes next round, he's going to have another round. Wow. Just wow. This has been Pat's finals experience for at least the last 2 finals. When I say finals, I mean like top 16, top 8, top 4. Just absolute blazing suns. 4 crits. Like, he's going to kill Okoye. Okoye's going to be straight up removed. Eight damage from a 5 dice attack. 8. That is really, really disheartening for Josh. Again, if Angela survives, we are going to see a next round, but I mean, Josh is going to have Angela daze at the start of next round, as well as Okoye being removed, Panther is not in a great position, and Shuri is really not in a great position. So even if he gets the next round, I mean, it's game over. That is going to be 100% game over with that beam attack. Iron Fist will flip that central objective. I really think Pat could have won this round, but I mean, with an attack like that, it honestly doesn't matter. But I really think he could have actually done it, because if you advance Angela towards Iron Fist, just a bit of casually knocking Valkyrie around there. If you advance Angela towards Iron Fist, he can kick her, go to 10 power, hit her with a 9 dice attack or an 8 dice attack because of the bitter rivals, and take the cubes. You haven't missed much, Darren. It's going to be Pat winning. It's been a good game. I think Fink made some early tactical errors, and he has been spending the rest of the game trying to make up for it. And Pat, being the player that he is, has not allowed Fink to even have a chance at getting back in the game. Pat's still got bitter rivals, Heroes for Hire, Advanced R&D, and all we've got. So at any moment, he can pop off his tactic cards and probably remove Fink from the game next round. 14-8. So unless Fink can get 8 points this round, I would say that that is GG. Angela is going to get 4 power and daze. Angela, shouldn't she be a minimum 4 power, right? Right? So Enchantress is going to scoop both these up. Just put them both next to like in Enchantress, like it's easy money at that point. Looks like Okoye. What is going on? Iron Fist. Iron Fist has dazed and dropped his own cube. So at least Fink is only going to be a negative gain of, or negative loss of 1 cube. But here is the push that comes from Sword, and this is why this is catastrophic if you have less characters than your opponent, because it's basically a stagger. And when you're running a really narrow list, like Fink is too wide for this turn essentially, one of his 4 actions has now been completely dictated into being a move action. And you really, really cannot afford to have your actions being dictated by your opponent when you have only 4 to 6 of them on a narrow list. You just can't have it. Brutal. We can scoop up 2 cubes on Panther here. So he's going to have 3 cubes then, so he'll be an 11. Pat's going to guaranteed pick up 2 over there next to Enchantress. So there's his 16 points. So he needs to daze Enchantress, or whoever picks up those cubes, and needs to win the sword this round. And he has 3 actions to do it. What do you think, Chad? Do you think Fink could have done... How do you think the game would have gone if Fink deployed Angela centrally? I mean, we know Morgan came in and said that he likes 4 wide Angela, and Angela is just an unbelievable character. I think if Fink deployed in the center, he honestly could have been... This would have been a much tighter scoreline. Any thoughts on Mysterio? It seems to be a cheap way to get Mystic attacks in your roster. Yeah, Mysterio is great. Mysterio, what's the tactic card where Mysterio can punish you if you walk near a secure? That's really powerful. My issue with Mysterio is he is so slow. Small base, small move it's so slow. I mean, let's say Mysterio deployed exactly in the middle, as far forward as possible. I don't even know if he can get to that central sword. Like, that's how slow he is. And that's where I really struggle with Mysterio. I love the tricks available to him. And I'd be keen to see like a Craven Mysterio Enchantress shenanigans happening, where you're just dealing damage to people for moving, and Mysterio and Enchantress can just force it to happen. That's actually really cool. Chuck Cassandra in there as well, and you can... I mean, that's a lot of damage just for moving a character, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not on the hype train for Mysterio right now. I need to see somebody smarter than me and do something really cool with him for me to be on that hype train. So difficult for Josh at this point. Like, honestly, he has 3 actions. That's a guaranteed flip, and it does help him a lot. I would really, really, really like to see Panther move up, scoop up those 2 cubes, pounce onto Valkyrie, pay for Mantle, and just do his best at trying to one-shot Valkyrie. That may put him into a position where he can attempt to come back from, but I mean, honestly, I don't see anything else Panther can do that would be relative to this game. Wraith, I personally love him in CS, 5 wide on Gamma. His Grand Illusions card and his Air Denial is very strong. Yeah. The superpower he has where when you move or place or whatever within 3 of him, and then, you know, he chucks some dice and he can do a small advance if he does damage. I think that's where Mysterio, like a really good Mysterio player, will work some really cool shenanigans there, because doing that and, you know, potentially moving outside of a range of somebody and forcing them to then move again to get an attack on him, it's essentially a stagger. Pay 2 power, do a stagger. So it's really cool. But no, I haven't put any time on Mysterio, so I can't. I'm filling up some dead air here, guys, because Finkster's going through some serious decision-making trees right now. But it does not look good for him. His blanks for power also really stacks up. Yeah, like, it stacks up better than anyone else, right? Shuri has a 1 in 8 chance of doing a skull for power. There's only 1 shield, I think, so, you know, Doctor Strange, shield for power, it's only a 1 in 8. So Mysterio has the best version of that. I really am just not seeing a way for Fink to get a win here, or to even get another turn. If he can get another turn where Angela's online, I think he can claw his way back into it, but I do not see him getting an additional turn out of this. I mean, Pat's the kind of player, he's just going to pick up both of those cubes on Enchantress and double move away. I mean, Shuri's on 1, so he may just pick up both cubes, walk over and daze Shuri, and that's GG. That's game over. So, I mean, Finkster honestly only has 2 actions. What is a reasonable amount of time before you start looking at somebody? If this was a tournament, a timed event tournament, you're on tabletop, at what point would you look at Fink and go, okay, mate, it's time to make the decision? If you were behind and you were Pat at this point, what's your general consensus chat on what is a reasonable amount of time to go through a difficult decision-making tree? Right about now, I personally will be looking at Fink to say, okay, mate, time to make the decision. And he has, but yeah. I would like to see him pounce and mantle and one-shot Enchantress. That would be nice. That would be really nice. Three power. Kinetic. What? Please don't tell me he's doing a kinetic burst. He's doing a kinetic burst. That should not be in his decision-making tree at all. He didn't pay for mantle. 5 dice mantle is better in all ways, shapes and forms than a 6 dice kinetic burst with no rerolls. Mysterio, Enchantress and Cassandra in Sin-led Cabal has done some work for me. I personally think that Cassandra has a couple of things going for her that are just ripe for abuse. The fact that her 1 power can just guaranteed advance somebody, their speed, is just disgusting. Sasha, how's it going, brother? Yeah, it's crazy good. Just 1 power, their speed. It's just nuts. And it's advance, right? So you can do some annoying things with it versus push. Push is great, but it stops, when it hits something advance. Nah, baby, we'll just go straight through it. Don't care. I mean, the kinetic burst, push everyone away from you, is annoying at best. But it's not going to get you back in the game. It's not even going to gain you an additional turn. So, yeah, deception on tap. But even better than deception, right? Because you do not have to have any prerequisites about when and how you can do it. You just pay 1 power and it happens. Just better deception on a stick. That's funny. Yeah, it's so much better than deception. Yeah, so Pat's going to come up here. We are going to see a Valkyrie charge into, I want to say Dragon Fang personally, but we are going to see I don't know. Be one of them. It's either Warrior of Legend, Strike, or Dragon Fang. It's just a Strike with no Warrior of Legend. I do think that's actually a mistake from Pat. I personally would have just paid it in the off chance that Shuri God rolled 3 crits or something like that. Because not doing a Warrior of Legend there, I mean, I know you have a throw and you can just auto do a damage to her, but I don't know, you could have just immediately stopped. You could have done both, maybe, I don't know. You can't do both. That's GG. Pat has got 3 actions remaining, 2 of which can interact with objectives. So he will clean it out and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 points. So we're going to see Pat go to 22. So 22 to 8. Sadly, Finkster has gone down. So round 4, win to Pat. See, Atomic Mass Games put out a tweet. It's for the Cassandra and Jean Grey pack. I think you can order it now. There you go. Don't see anything extra info on it. So, well done, Pat. Next season, Josh. Yeah, 100%. That's well done to Josh. 6-0 in Swiss is nothing to put your nose up at. It's a pretty amazing achievement, especially with the people that he had to go through. I think he beat Morgan in Swiss, which is huge, which then put Morgan in the position where he had to fight Nick and his X-Men, which pipped him out of the contention. Yeah, man, Sword, I agree, Nick, is a strong contender as a potential restricted for a secure. Personally, I don't know, even Gamma is on the potential for restricted. It's just so brutal, right? This is what I'm saying, guys. If you're building your rosters out and you cannot go 5 wide, or you do not have a plan for 14 threat Sword, you are in serious trouble, because it is a auto loss if you are not walking into it prepared. It is devastating how strong this secure can be with the power phase push and the consistency and being able to just flip one, just move some characters away and get an auto flip on it. It is really nasty. I think you'll see more things pushing towards the restricted and banned list, but I don't think that it's power creep as much as our designers are understanding their game more and more and more, and they are designing things to be not better, but it's just way more. All the stuff coming out now is more streamlined. It does things in a more efficient manner than previous things have done it. It's just, that's what makes them feel bad, right? I do think that they should have a range limit on everything. I really don't like seeing, with a few exceptions, like Brothership, things like that, don't need a range restriction, but they have an objective restriction. I do want to see more restrictions placed on some of these more powerful abilities. Siren's Call, Bow to the Will of MODOK, things like that should not be a spammable ability. But yeah, Sword just it's really bad. Easiest way to put yourself with some tech for Sword, guys, is just in your roster, take 2 threats. If you take 2 threat characters, you can easily fit towards running 14 wide. It's definitely untidy though, because it gets worse for you if you have a 5 threat leader. But I mean, if you can put together a 5 threat leaderless squad like Pat has, I mean, that's how strong having additional characters on Sword is. Yeah, Nick, I agree. I'd love to see some Carteratas. I'd love to see a way where the wild blanks on MODOK don't stop abilities from happening. So like, yeah, the wilds are blank, but the wild throw still happens. I'd love to see some way of them making that happen. I think that's all MODOK needs to kind of tone him down just a little bit. It's not as open for abuse as Citizens was. Citizens was a joke. But I mean, hide muscle is essentially like what made that open for abuse, so that's pretty rough. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I'm not going across to the interview. It's not my room. It's not my anything, so there is no point diving in on that. Just going to wrap it up here. It's just some musings of a madman at the end of the stream here. So if you want to listen to the interview, jump over to Xavier's stream. That's it. I'll peace out, guys. Take it easy. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube. What's happening, brothers? No problems, Nick. Happy to do it, man. No worries, Reith. I was really umming and ahhing about this stream. I was honestly really umming and ahhing about it. Adam, thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Thanks for the follow on Twitch, mate. Right, I'm going to get out of here. Later, guys. Take it easy.